Welcome to Portfolio Finder Setup. Hi everyone, and welcome. This quick guide will walk you through setting up Portfolio Finder within Rescover so you can start identifying potential clients with investment properties. We'll cover configuring your search territory, defining your client value, and connecting Portfolio Finder to your CRM like LeadSimple for a seamless workflow. Whether you have a monthly subscription allowing searches in one county or an annual plan for statewide access, we'll ensure you're set up to maximize your lead generation. Let's dive in and get you started. To configure your Portfolio Finder product, first head to Settings. To do this, click on your name in the top right corner and click on Settings. On the left-hand side, you'll see a menu that you can expand, and the first one that we're going to come to is called Company Settings. Inside of Company Settings, you need to configure your company territory. The company territory is the area that you are able to manage. This is not restricted by the area that you can search with your Portfolio Finder license. And just so you're familiar, if you don't recall, if you have our monthly Portfolio Finder subscription, you can search in one county per month and you can change it as often as every 30 days. And if you have the annual plan, then you can search in an entire state. I can configure my management territory either by counties or zip codes, and I could choose, for example, 30 zip codes, or I could choose 5 counties that I'm interested in. So let's say I have, in Texas, I have Dallas County. I'm going to choose Collin County, and then I'm also going to choose Tarrant County, which are all, in the similar DFW area. And then I'm going to click Update. The next setting that I'm going to want to make then is I'm going to come over here to Portfolio Finder. In Portfolio Finder, I have an option to configure my client value. My client value is what Rescover is going to use when it sees a person who has a portfolio of, say, 5 houses, and those houses have an expected rental rate of $2,000 a month. We're going to multiply the rental rate by the number of houses and then times your management fee. So here I have mine set at an 8% flat fee, or 8% of the rent. I could change it to a flat fee by clicking on flat, and then if I charged $120 per unit per month, I could use that instead. Lastly, we're going to want to configure our expected client tenure. For estimating total client value, we're going to take the annual management revenue and multiply it by this amount. I would not recommend going to something as long as 10 years. That would cause people to have a relatively unrealistic client value, but something around 2 years or 3 years is pretty typical. That's how long we assume people are going to stay with us before they, maybe consider selling their house or moving on. And that's what we're going to leave that set as here. And then the next option we're going to want to configure is skip trace settings. So by default, Rescover will not send a phone number, which it has found on the do not call list, over to your CRM. So this is how you're going to see this by default. If you would like for those numbers to still go over to your CRM, you can turn this off. Okay, so those are the configurations for Portfolio Finder itself. But now if you're using a CRM, we're going to want to make that connection. So to connect our CRM to Portfolio Finder, I'm going to click on CRM configuration and move through these options. The first option, CRM connection, is where I'm going to choose my CRM provider. In this case, I've chosen LeadSimple. And then I'm going to go to LeadSimple and I'm going to grab my API key and I'm going to paste it here. I'll show you right now how that works. So I'm going to go to LeadSimple and I'm going to log in. And then I'm going to go over to the settings and integrations on the left side. You'll see that there's a Rescover integration for LeadSimple, and you'll have an API key, which is specific to your LeadSimple account and the one that needs to be used with Rescover. You're going to click the copy icon on the right-hand side, come back over to Rescover, you're going to paste it, and you'll click validate, and then you'll click save. It is important that you choose your own name out of the list of all the users that you have in LeadSimple. So if you will, after you validate your key, if you'll then choose your name from LeadSimple right here, that way Rescover knows who you are inside of LeadSimple. Now, with regard to the remainder of the users that you have in your LeadSimple account, this is where if you have additional Rescover users, you can link up their name in Lead Simple. So this is how you would configure that for all the users at your company in their CRM account. After you have your users configured, we want to address the Portfolio Finder settings that we need to configure to get the most out of Portfolio Finder with our CRM connection. Now, we're going to go back and forth into Lead Simple once or twice, and you may decide to configure this slightly differently than the way that I do it, but I'm going to show you the way that I generally recommend that people do it and the way that I think that most of our customers follow through with when I see their account and I help them as time goes on. So the default assignee, earlier, we of course told Lead Simple who I was, but perhaps I'm operating Lead Simple and I like finding new clients or new leads in Riscover, but I want to assign them to my BDM, which is somebody else. So I could choose to assign this to Susie, or I could choose to assign this to Steve, and that would be the default that would pop up whenever I see these options inside of Riscover. Next would be the default pipeline that we're going to use. Generally speaking, when you find somebody in Riscover with the Portfolio Finder, this is going to be a person that doesn't know who you are, and you probably have a different strategy of reaching that person than somebody who's filled out a form on your website. So we recommend that you create a pipeline inside of Lead Simple or your CRM just for these leads that you find in Riscover that you're going to be marketing outbound. And so what we're going to do right now is we're going to go over to Lead Simple and we're going to look at our pipeline and pipeline source configuration to be sure that we have that configured the way we want. So I'm going to come over here to Lead Simple and I'm going to click on leads and I can see the pipelines that I have. And just so you can see how this works, I'm going to click on new pipeline and I'm going to call this one new outbound pipeline. And I'm going to click save. And it's going to take me to my settings here. Now I'm going to click on sources and I'm going to click add source. And in this case, I actually want to not only call it Riscover, but I want to call it the area of the Riscover that it came from or the product. So I'm going to call it Riscover Portfolio Finder because I want to know that this lead came from Riscover Portfolio Finder. And then I am not going to choose, I'm not going to set an average cost. I'm not even going to create a stage. Riscover will handle that for us. Going to click next. I'm not automatically importing leads via email. I'm using the API, so I don't need to enable this. And also I don't have any consent form. Nobody has filled out a form. They haven't said that they're willing to accept text messages from me. So I don't have that here that I can upload. And I'm going to click finish. It is going to say disabled up in the corner. It doesn't mean that the source is disabled. That has to do with the automatic import being disabled. Now I'm going to come back over here to Riscover, and I do not have that pipeline yet, but once I click refresh CRM options, I now have new outbound pipeline. And then for pipeline source, I have Riscover Portfolio Finder. And here I do want to configure a default stage, which I'm going to choose new. That's where I want to start people off. Now, below the targets section, you'll see one called investor agents. If you have your MLS connected to Riscover, sometimes you will see a real estate agent listed as having worked with the leads that you come across. And you might decide that you want to mark a realtor that you're seeing in Riscover as an investor agent, because it could be that they're not really a competitor. They're a person you want to align with and hope that they would refer business to you. For that purpose, we would recommend creating yet another pipeline inside of Lead Simple. It's the same process. I have one called Referral Partners. Looks like I did not configure a source, and I suppose I need to go back and do that. I can take an opportunity to do that right now. If I go over here to Referral Partners, click on a source, I'm going to call it, these sources are specific to each pipeline. So I'm going to call this one Riscover Portfolio Finder. It's the same as the other one, but it's per pipeline. Next, finish. Come back over here, click refresh. It hung on to the settings that I already had selected, but now this pipeline source is not grayed out anymore. I can click Riscover Portfolio Finder. I can click save, and now I'm set up. So that's all the configuration that you need to do so that we can then dive into actually using Portfolio Finder. So now you've seen how to configure Riscover's Portfolio Finder for your company territory, management fee structure, and CRM connection via API. Be sure to advance to the next video where I'll show you how to search for owners, skip trace their contact information, and add them to your favorites or CRM. If you don't yet have a Portfolio Finder subscription, head to Riscover.com/sign up and activate yours today.